Hey, what's going on, everyone? In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Simgot EM6L, and then I'm going to compare it to some other IEMs that I have. So it comes with this pretty standard box, same thing as the LM. It comes in the same case, same mirror tips. So let's talk about the build cable and fit to start this off. So this cable, it's pretty janky. I don't like it too much. And then instead of this type of connector, they should have just made it the regular 2-pin. It's just more compatible. And the build, it's pretty standard. I think the LM has a slightly better build quality. And then the cable is just okay. Nothing too special. So this clocks in at about $110, I believe. So let's talk about the sound profile now. So I would say this is a pretty neutral IEM. It's like neutral with some bass boost. And it's not bright or warm. It's pretty well balanced. I think there's a frequency chart on the back here. This does have some balanced armatures and a dynamic driver. Here's the frequency response. So let's talk about the sound now. So starting with the bass, this has a pretty good bass rumble. It sounds pretty balanced. It blends in well with the other frequencies. It's not bass heavy and it's not bass light. It's just right in the middle. The sub bass is well balanced with the mid bass, so it sounds good. So let's say you listen to a lot of hip hop or a lot of drums, a lot of bass guitar. The bass sounds good, but it never really takes over your entire ear with the bass presence. So I think that has to do, so like when you have more expensive IEMs, they have like this really dynamic bass that almost like takes over your entire ear, and then the mids and treble are really good too. So this doesn't have a bass sound that like takes over your entire ear or um really like takes over the song. So I would say the bass is like on the neutral side and well balanced. Same thing with the sub bass and mid bass. Both of those frequency areas, they don't pop out. Like, like I have a feeling that one thing's taking over something. It just sounds well balanced. So overall, I'd say the bass is decent. It's not exceptional, but it is good enough for around this price point. Cause around like the $50 price point, sometimes it's a hit or a miss. But this is pretty well balanced. I like it. It blends in with the rest of the mix. And now let's talk about the upper mid-range. So vocals actually sound really nice on these. They don't sound warm or bright. They just sound right where they should be. It sounds like pretty neutral. The body of the voices for male and female are good. I like that. So basically, you could be listening to any type of song like pop or orchestral music. The mids are present. With this IEM, I noticed this IEM has a pretty light and airy type of sound. It does not have like a heavy sound, or it doesn't really sound forward or too forward. It just sounds really well balanced. Like, so this IEM like gives you the music without it like trying to force the sound into you or it sounding unnatural. This doesn't really sound unnatural. Vocals are pretty much where you want them to be. They extend. I'm getting a good forward voice, good amounts of clarity and nuance. So the mids are really good. I like that. Good sound quality in the mid range, especially with vocals, instruments, pianos. Just sounds pretty good. It sounds very like natural, articulate, good amounts of definition. So I wouldn't say this is like an overly analytical IM. It just sounds just well balanced and neutral. So now moving on to the treble, I would say the treble is very, very smooth on this, and it still extends. So you get like just the right amount of treble pop and clarity, where it just sounds natural and well extended. So I would say for a beginner, this is like a solid IEM choice. It just doesn't sound harsh in the treble, but it still has just the perfect amount of articulation. So you hear vocals and breathiness. You're not going to get top of the line vocals or treble with this, but it sounds good enough. I think most people would be pleased with the way this sounds. And then ranking like the tonality, technical aspects, I would say the tonality is like a solid B plus. I'd give it a solid B plus. It's just there, good. And then the technical performance, I'd also rate it right around a B plus. It doesn't quite hit the A range where I'm getting close to top of the line resolution. It's just a step below that, I'd say. So who is this IEM for? I would say this is a very well-balanced, neutral-sounding IEM. It doesn't really excel in the bass or the treble, but I would say the strong point of this IEM is probably the mid-range. The vocals just sound really nice and natural, clear, articulate. I would say if I had to say what the weakest point of this IEM is probably the bass, because I'm just not getting the right amount of rumbles at times in the mids and the sub bass, mid bass and sub bass. So maybe that area could be a little improved. But other than that, I'm totally fine with how the mids and treble sound on this. I think most people would like it. So yeah, I would say B plus for tonal, B plus for technical, and if I had to give a rating out of 10, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I think that sounds pretty fair. And now let's make a quick comparison with the Simgot EA500 LM. So these cost about the same. The EM6L, I think it costs like 20 or 30 bucks more. And this costs like 80 or 90 bucks. So let's compare these two. First, I'm going to talk about the bass, how the bass sounds. So I would say the quality of the bass with these two are on a similar field. It really depends on the type of track you're listening to. So for some tracks, the LM might be a little more punchy, but then at other times, when the bass should be more tucked away in those types of tracks, then the EM6L is better. So in terms of like quality and quantity, I'd say they're both right on par with each other. I don't think the LM is like much better. And same thing with the EM6L. They just have a very similar quality bass. And I tried out a bunch of sub bass tracks, drums, bass guitars, and it was a hit or a miss. I didn't think one of these was significantly better than another. It just, the quality of the bass sounded about on par. And I think that's the only thing these two have in common. Other than that, they sound pretty different. So the LM has like a pretty warm sound, and it sounds muted in the treble. And the EM6L has a more neutral, balanced sound where it doesn't sound as warm. So now let's talk about the upper mid-range where all the vocals sit and some instruments. So vocals on the LM will sound warmer. Slightly too warm. It could be a little bit congested. And the vocals on the LM don't pop out as well as they do on the EM6L. Same thing with the male voices. The EM6L just performs better. It just sounds more natural with the vocals. It doesn't sound as muddy or warm. And then same thing with the instruments. Let's say you're listening to a piano, a trumpet, a flute in the higher frequencies. The EM6L sounds much better to me in the treble. It's pretty obvious. Trumpets and flutes have this airiness where it doesn't sound warm. It just sounds well extended and clear. So I'd say the EM6L is better than the Fermat for sure. To me, it was pretty obvious. And then, let's say you listen to like a lot of sub-bass oriented tracks. I wouldn't say either of these sets are like a bass head set or have a lot of bass. Because I'm not a bass head, but I still like good quality bass. So yeah, these don't have too much bass. If you want extra bass, look into something like the Manger Top or some of those pairs. They do the bass better. But yeah, I mean, this just has a better build. This has a worse build. So what I think is going on here is when you're listening to really busy tracks, the LM gets very confused. The LM is simply not a good technical IEM. It just doesn't have the best layering, separation, imaging, and soundstage. It's just pretty weak in all those characteristics. But I'd say the EM6L is a step up, a slight step up in terms of layering and separation. So what I think is happening is I think it's really, really hard to tune a dynamic driver to sound like a set that has BAs in it. Because I think BAs have this like delicacy, softer texture, where the treble could pop out more effortlessly. Where I feel like every dynamic driver, it just can't do treble well. Other than maybe a few sets I've heard. Fermat being one of those sets, I think the Fermat does treble well, but for some it might be too much treble. So if you want like a neutral balanced IEM, I'd definitely go with the EM6L. And if you want a warmer sounding IEM, get the LM. But yeah, overall, I'd definitely say like they cost about the same. I just grabbed the EM6L. It has noticeable improvements in the treble. The vocals, male and female are clearer. Instruments sound better on this. It just does a lot of stuff better than the LM. And since they cost about the same, might as well just get the EM6L. And comfort-wise, they're both pretty similar. This one does weigh a little less, so it's going to be a little more comfortable maybe. So yeah, there you guys have it. So I think I rated the LM like a 7.5 out of 10. And you could check out my reviews of the LM and Fermat. I have them posted up for those of you guys who didn't get a chance. So yeah, if I had to rank like all of the Simgot IEMs I've heard, I'd put the Fermat in first place. Then I'd put the EM6L in second place, and then third place would be the LM. It's pretty obvious to me, guys. Like, the EM6L sounds much better. It's not really close. If people are saying otherwise, you should really question them. The only region where I feel like people could say that the LM is better would probably be the bass. That's like the only area, and even then it's a toss-up. And the details, I would say, are definitely better on the EM6L. Just like half a letter grade better. Same thing with the tonality. It just sounds more realistic, engaging. Not too lively, but not dark. So just right where you want it to be. Pretty solid IEMs. Simgot has been releasing some pretty fire stuff. I do like it. So there you guys have it. This is the review. If you have any questions, let me know. I did listen to all three of their more expensive pairs. Fermat, LM, now EM6L. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and it helps you make a purchasing decision. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Have a good one.